have we lost our mind in this country? When it's like,
Yes.
like seriously,
No,
great to have you with us. This is episode number 26 of the Daily Closing. As you know, we come together to exchange ideas, perspective. We do talk about the actual closing of people that are migrating, going after that American dream that we like to talk about. I think this weekend is a relevant part of the conversation.
Happy birthday, America!
Absolutely, absolutely. And but in addition to that, we do believe in different perspectives, and we do respect people that make a solid argument about what they believe. You know what I mean? It's something that, as a matter of fact, probably the worst thing about having a conversation with somebody is when they have zero belief, zero convictions, because that means they moving you around like cattle. You know what I mean? It's just so because you don't have your, so however different the position, someone may have something to respect. We appreciate that. You don't have to agree with any of the things that we say. We have our own positions. We try to be respectful of yours.
So like, comment, subscribe.
Yes,
Share.
and let us know what you're thinking. So there's a few things that we're going to be addressing today from the immigration side, guys. We got two opposite things taking place. In the state of Florida today, SB 1718,
Literally today
actually is when it becomes official. It remains to see how it's going to be implemented and how the whole thing is going to be deployed. There's no, as a matter of fact, I haven't heard much from the whole situation about this law. But the opposite side of it, the state of Illinois right now, just literally just signed the House of Bill 3882, which would allow the temporary visitor driver's license, which anyone can apply for. You can have a driver's license.
I have a couple questions.
Regardless of you having or not having your legal documents, you know what I mean? In addition to that, there's a sequence of things that took place with the Supreme Court internally. There's a ruling that deals with a website that the case was based on a same-sex request, and we'll go into details about that. But also, a great deal of significance, the ruling that took place when it comes to the loan forgiveness plan that the Biden administration had. And in addition to that, affirmative action for education has officially ended, was struck down by the Supreme Court. And we're going to go a little bit internationally just because it couldn't apply, talking about timing, as we are celebrating independence and we're celebrating in many ways rule of law. We got to talk about what's going on with Brazil and Venezuela. Brazil right now, the court, the Brazilian court banned the former president, Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro, former president of Brazil, has been officially banned for running for office, any office, for 8 years, but obviously especially the office of the presidency. In addition to that, the opposition party, not that, you know, that Venezuela have too many people, or that Maduro has too many people coming after her from the opposition, but this lady has been extremely courageous, Maria Corina Machado, but she was banned for 15 years to be able to hold office. I want to dive into that for a second, especially because we are celebrating this weekend, the 4th of July weekend.
And 5th of July is Venezuela's independence.
Is it? Was?
Yeah.
Is it or was?
Supposed to. I don't know how to feel about it.
We can go back that because it's like a $3 bill, you know what I mean? It's like, so guys, how about we address a little bit of the opposite reality of these laws. We spoke about what was going on in the state of Florida, what's taking place in the state of Illinois, and something new. A lot of people at some point was really making it seem like it was going to be doomsday for construction and no more workers, nobody was going to be. The fact of the matter is that officially today is when, if anybody had the powers to do anything, starts today.
Correct.
Prior to that, nobody had the ability to do anything. So what do you guys, are you hearing anything? What do you think about that not only the position of Florida, but even the position on the state of Illinois, you know?
I hear a lot of people talking about it, but I haven't seen any work sites that had no people there. You know, like people like, oh, there's no one here to grow the food. I'm like, I don't know about that, but but like I said, we got to see moving forward after today. Correct. If it'll make a big difference, because really today is when it starts. So I don't know. We'll see. But I haven't seen any noticeable differences in anything.
I was doing a recruiting interview today with somebody, and we literally, that was the conversation. She's like, you know what? I have a lot of people that we have the opportunity to, and then she said, well, actually, the law starts today, so we'll see what's gonna happen on Monday. What's crazy about it is that Monday is
holiday,
right before a holiday, so we really won't be able to tell until
Wednesday.
like probably even next Monday.
Yeah.
Correct. What really is going to be the impact of it, but
correct.
It's going to be interesting.
Now, to be quite honest with you, instead of hearing more about it, it's almost like after the initial controversy, the whole thing just went quiet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody was busy with the submersible.
Apparently, that took a lot of space and became very distracting for a lot of people. But what I mean by that is that even some of the people that are hardcore supporting this law, they're not saying much about implementation. They're not saying much about, what exactly the team is going to be ready to start at least rolling it out. He said every state trooper right now getting to the point where they're going to get involved with this component of immigration. We don't know how ICE is going to respond to you, Mr. Trooper, stopping Lorena because she's more illegal and has zero papers.
I would be the trooper.
And just about every single one of them being
It makes total sense.
And you being the person who's going to detain this person, and now you're calling ICE to say, hey, I got somebody here for you, or are you going to drop off the process? So there's so much about the process, the mechanical aspect of the process, that no one has said absolutely anything about. A lot of business people, though, did get concerned to the extent that you have a lot of Democrats calling the law. Remember, Ron DeSantis, not only he's a Republican, he's a presidential candidate running as a Republican. And the state, during the time that he has been the governor of the state, has become very business friendly, very friendly in general. You have over 1,000 people at this point, almost 1,200 people moving to the state of Florida. But that's what immediately they took advantage of this to say, well, maybe you're not that business friendly, or you don't understand how it works or how much of the impact is going to be. But also to see how so very little noise right now about how they're going to roll it out. It also tells me that maybe, is either not well thought out, or they don't have a good feel for, or they don't have a pulse on the whole situation. I don't know. It feels to me, though, one of the things that I said to you guys before, it feels to me that this was that coming down the elevator moment for Donald Trump. Where Ron DeSantis took this, and that was the statement that was going to get national attention, right? I mean, as a governor, he already has a good platform to have a national, especially, state that's very active, state of Florida, again, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that kept him on the loop. But the fact of the matter is that just being the governor is not enough. I mean, there's a lot of states that I can name right now that if I ask you who's the governor of that state, will go like, no. You know a few. You know who's the governor of the state of Texas. You know who's the governor of the state of New York. You know who's the governor of the state of California, right? Yeah, but not everybody along the way, just precisely because it's not national news. You know what I mean? Yep. So was this just a political stunt, or?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's, if anything, it could be a plan that's more long term, where he's thinking of, okay, I got 6 parts to this plan. This is phase 1, and depending on whether he goes further in the election or not, can determine what he can do
at a federal level.
Yeah, correct. It's almost like I remember when so like there's a big thing going on, not now so much, but with marijuana when it was trying to legalize it, they had multiple steps as far as, okay, first we're gonna decriminalize it, then we're gonna make it legal medically, then but even when it first went legal medically, there was no dispensaries. But they couldn't even start the process of having dispensaries until they made, so it's like they got parts. So maybe it's not until after this, is in play for a while. Now he can say, all right, here's phase 2 of what my whole plan is. That's what I'm thinking. But we like once again, we still got to see how it pans
Yeah, but
out.
what Marvin's saying is really important, which is every step of the way there was a lot of buzz about it.
True.
Right now, there's not a whole lot of buzz about this. So is it that it didn't necessarily go well, or is it one of those promises that somebody makes during a campaign, or in that doesn't necessarily? I mean, it's too soon to tell.
Correct.
But you know, it's something to keep in mind. On the other side, then it turns out it looks like Illinois seems to be recruiting right from Florida. Yeah, is that
come here? Not only it is okay, we actually gonna give you an ID that is going to
allow you to drive.
But
I know a few people, by the way. I know a few people that went to a whole different state just to get a driver's license.
Correct. And
So,
Do they stay in the state though? Or
no.
no. You go to the other state, you get the license, and now you have an ID.
So that doesn't help the state.
It's not gonna. By the way, it's not, no, but it's not gonna help here because remember that one of the things connected to that law is that if you're not either a citizen or a legal resident.
Somehow illegal.
If your status here is you're not supposed to be here,
correct.
The fact that you got it from another state, one of the things about the law is that they are not going to accept that as a valid driver's license.
But if I get pulled over, that never happens, by the way, right?
Yeah.
But if I do,
why would they pull you?
I don't know. But let's just say I did, right? All they're gonna ask me for is my driver's license.
Yeah.
From there, how would they know?
Here in the state of Florida?
Yeah.
No. That's the thing.
They're
gonna go driver's license,
And
registration, and your freaking papers.
Oh my gosh, I don't like it.
Papers,
Yeah, there's like, It's like, and by the way, there will be a trooper that's gonna say, and I will be okay if you don't have your insurance papers.
Yeah.
But I want your papers.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to make sure.
So that's gonna be, guys. That changes the game. And again, listen. There's a couple of things that I can tell you about this. Right. I agree with you that when state like this is saying we're gonna do this, not only that they are making it official to say we are a sanctuary state. Except for the fact that they not at the border, they wait in there. So you need to send about 1 million people to see what will be the impact. I absolutely know that there is a benefit to giving tools the ability, giving people the tools and the ability to work, opposed to minimizing and restricting. The problem is that again, you're going back to the rule of law.
How does the economy of Illinois move?
What do you mean by that?
Like, what is like if you say Orlando is tourism?
Correct.
What's the?
Well, I mean, the main center to it will always be the city of Chicago. You know what I mean? And there's a lot going on business-wise, real estate. A lot of big companies also still operating. Chicago Bulls are obviously, you know what I mean. So from sports and all of that. So you know, there's a lot going on when it comes to big cities. And big cities, you know, if you're somebody that just came into the country, you don't want to go to, you know, North Dakota with there's 23 people, and you're the one guy who's illegal because you're gonna stick at it, or you have an accident, or you look a little darker because they're gonna know. You know, it's like, listen, you look a little. Let me see your papers, right? So, but so you go to big cities, you know what I mean, because it's easy to blend. It's already a cosmopolitan environment. Already very mixed, very, very everything, you know what I mean? So, but here's my point about this though. And I said this to you about this law. The law addresses something at a state level, which in many ways addresses your point, right? Let's try it out here.
Yeah.
Let's see how do we tweak it. Let's see how do we work. And if I move forward office-wise, then I got to see if I can take it at a federal level. But this one action alone tells me that we're still not thinking at a national level. Because first of all, what's going to do is we're going to be moving people around from one state to another, right? So that doesn't fix the problem. So we still have a situation that sounds great, right? But still doesn't address the fact that whether people like it or not, and I say this with a great deal of respect, right? Because I know the necessities that most people have, Alexi. Lorena, a little more familiar with reasons as to why people come to this country. They're not going to stop coming. They're going to keep coming.
You'll find a way.
And we've been doing that for, however time we've been recording this in history in different ways. But our southern border is not something, this process is not going to stop as long as the level of corruption, crime, violence, and many of the other abuses that take place in other countries. So if we don't find a better way to address this, all we're doing is playing musical chairs with this whole situation.
Right.
And that, again, doesn't fix the problem. For the state of Illinois to go out there, and so now they're going to be issuing driver's license, legal ID. You can do a lot with a legal ID.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and there's also another aspect of the country that would allow you to be fully functional from the perspective of work, employment. So now you go into production, right? Because what you want to do is you want to have somebody that came into this country to pick up the responsibility of production, becoming a positive member of society, opposed to somebody that is going to rely on handouts and whatever. So it's a catch-22, and it's not a simple topic. It's not a simple conversation. And I think that Republicans are missing a significant opportunity here about introducing a real permanent solution, and that would require, again, eliminating what we have right now because it doesn't work, privatizing or creating a different structure.
And a long-term vision, because this is not something that can be addressed.
Correct.
It's like, I don't understand how we can have a long-term vision about marijuana, and we cannot have a long-term vision
about people. People with real needs. And by the way, again, let's talk about our own national security. We have some real bad actors that are coming into the country right now, right? And that also won't stop unless we really take. I'm all for building the wall, but I promise you that even though that will reduce, it still won't be enough to stop. That it's just going to be a different way. If you've seen, I don't know if you've seen the many tunnels that were built to move drugs. Well, drug is a commodity, not a good one. People are also a commodity when it comes to the traffic and so are also a commodity. So, but anyway, guys, with that being said, today is the official first day for that law. We're definitely going to keep an eye. I'm going to keep you posted to see how this thing is developing. If you have anything to share with us, any specific stories, anything that you've seen out there taking place that's connected to that, let us know what's taking place. Guys, we have a couple of things to address when it comes to the Supreme Court. So it's three issues that they've been very busy, right? And they've been very busy.
Right before they go on break. Do they go on break? I don't know. I think they go on break.
They definitely go on break. So
like,
I want to address this thing about the same-sex website, right? Because I'm a little confused, and I'm saying this, honestly. I remember the whole situation that took place with somebody baking a cake for another person. And this guy, essentially, his life is upside down, went out of business, still indebted millions of dollars because he lost the case, and there are damages that were attached to the whole thing because for religious, under what he believed was a legitimate argument, religious grounds, he was arguing, I don't want to do that because I don't think it's what I should do, right? Same-sex website, a website developer, somebody comes approaching, basically the same approach. He said, I'm not going to do that. What? Supreme Court ruled on his favor. What happened with the other guy?
How does this case make it to the Supreme Court? Like, do you know? Because I wasn't reading up on it. It's funny. The gay person in the freaking panel. That's
I don't know how they made it that far, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. They had to change their heart, I guess. I don't know if they're allowed to, but they did. But yeah, supposedly it's gonna change a lot of things.
Change the game because so the question is, was there any level of discrimination that took place when it comes to
the first guy?
On both cases, you know what I mean? But especially when you have somebody winning here, and I didn't read the dissent, you know what I mean, to see exactly how do you overcome the idea that if it's, what is the grounds that, and why would it apply to one and not the other? And in addition to that, what does it do moving forward, right? It's like, because as a business though, what happened with that bakery situation the scary part about it is that you had a bunch of people that were saying, if that happened to that guy,
Yeah.
I'm at risk of being out of business unless I do something that I originally never intended to do, right? And now this is saying, well, don't panic. You know what I mean? There's going to be a more just approach about the whole conversation. What do you know about
this case in particular? I don't know much. Here is the way that I'm processing it, though. Like, don't you go into restaurants in different places and it says we reserve the right to refuse service? Like,
yes, but there's
but
limits
that's
to that.
limited to that. Like,
Yeah.
like if he shows up, you know, wearing a tie but not wearing pants, they have the right to say, hey, we appreciate the effort that you made on the top, but you missed the bottom altogether, so we can't we can't have you here. So there's
putting like an
limits
no pants party.
Correct.
But if they say, I don't want to serve you because you're black,
right, that's like a
you
whole
can't do
other
that.
thing.
But that's what this is leaning towards now. Is now technically somebody could say that, and that's what they're saying is the bigger issue that this can lead to. Is because now they can say, oh, we don't like interracial marriages, we don't like marriages from people who are not citizens of America, whatever. You can now go as far as you want to take it, and then that could lead to a big problem. So,
Can you really see it?
Yeah.
Developing in that? Come on.
yeah.
Come
Yes.
on.
I think so. I think so. Yes,
Look.
100%. Yeah.
The funny thing is that like it becomes like the whole vagueness. Everybody's having a
Yeah.
problem with how vague it is.
Yeah.
Well, the whole vagueness thing is the same thing that they're claiming on the Assembly Bill 957 in California, which is the bill is very, very vague. Therefore, technically, there's nothing taking. What is it? There's not a position put in this state has the opportunity to like take your children away from you.
What does the law
if you
do so we can, for people that
affirm-
are not familiar with the
so
actual
what
law?
the law does is it says that affirming your child's identity will actually benefit one of the parents, or it's considered like child safety and stuff
So
like
first
that.
of all, is law that you have to affirm
yes,
the child, right?
basically,
Yeah.
a child's identity.
Identity.
Yes.
The second thing is
Yes.
that it can be either weaponized by
When
the state
you and I are having a divorce and we have a kid,
yeah,
you
or
affirm my child's care.
people
I'm against
get-
his health care.
Yeah, if people that are married are going through a divorce and one of the parents, you know, decides to say, I'm not going to play along with that game and I'm not doing anything that I don't believe I should be doing, that parent, that will be a negative, or will count as a negative part of the process when it comes to who gets custody of the child. Is that
Right.
what it-
Yes. So what people are saying is, well, there's no difference between the parents. What happens if both of the parents are on the same page, but then the kid
Has a different
like,
number?
has a different right, and so the state has the opportunity to step in. And so the state takes care of your kid, and what everybody's claiming on that end is always because it's so vague that's going to happen. So vague is convenient on one end, and it's not convenient on the other. That's what I have a real problem with.
For me, my concern is that it gets to a point where it can be criminalized.
Yeah.
And again, criminalized on something that's not specific enough. And so then it becomes a matter of opinion on who decides to make it criminal or not, and how it's going to be. Well, my question to everybody watching here is like, have we lost our mind in this country? When it's like,
Yes.
like seriously,
No,
are
yes.
we? Did anybody collectively, while I was taking a nap, decided to take a lot of crazy pills, right? And what are we doing to our children, though?
Yeah.
Do we not see, just from a point of common sense, that a lot of these things that we're doing are absolutely not a good thing, not healthy, that there have to be definitely an agenda
Yes.
that is evil,
Yeah.
an evil agenda, to allow this kind of things to actually take place. By the way, this that's taking place right now goes against straight people, goes against gay people, goes against anything that is common sense in general, because you're trying to make an argument about, well, you know, we can be a normal couple,
Yeah.
right? And there's many cases where children had been adopted by gay parents, and everybody turned out to be okay, right? Definitely two are better than one when it comes to raising a child. Makes it easier, finances make sense. But when you're talking about something that will harm the child directly, that just think a simple statement for a child that is not emotionally stable as it is, that is a child to begin with, that doesn't even have the maturity to have the conversation, can actually create chaos in a house. Like, don't we have enough problems at home? Is everybody like having that much of a great time with Biden's economy right now that just struggling with paying your bills is not enough, that you need to introduce other layers of issues and problems here? I really don't understand how can we allow that to happen and to make it into law, and it's something that's going to be affecting our children directly, though. It's like, this is kind of crazy.
Problem. I don't know who the architect of this crazy thing is, but it's definitely something that looks like it's by design.
By design and not by accident.
And I think the big goal for this evil agenda is to break up the family. Why? Because if you operate as a family,
divide and conquer.
You can do so much more. But if there is no fathers in the household, if everybody's arguing with each other, the kids got more rights than the parents, then what that ultimately does is it breaks up the family, what puts you in a worse position to get ahead. And that's the simple, crazy thing that I think is trying to be done. They don't want you to get
take the family away, take the common sense away, take God away from the conversation, and what you're left with is chaos. You know what I mean? And you can manipulate chaos and use it to your favor. But listen, I'm gonna be very honest with you. This whole thing about biracial, I don't know that it will ever get to that level or to that point. But this is one of those things that you definitely got to see who's going to be the next person that's going to be denying services based on what, right? And what I will do is, from now until our next conversation, guys, I'm going to dive in a lot more into the actual dissent, you know what I mean, to be a little more clear about what was the argument. So let's move on into a couple of issues that are definitely a lot more complicated right now, right? So the argument is that even Joe Biden and his administration knew, by the way, using the words of Nancy Pelosi, saying that the president doesn't have the powers to forgive student loans, you know what I mean? And this is something obviously was and Chief Justice Roberts literally said, I'm using and quoting the words of our former Speaker of the House, which is talking about poetic justice, right? Saying the president simply doesn't have the powers to, and so what that means is that September everybody should be paying, except for the fact that the Biden administration already announced it through the Education Department and the Secretary of Education.
Down the road.
They are going to come up with a way where they're gonna again either achieve the same result. You know, it may not be right away. You know, you may be accumulating additional interest in that process while we try to get this whole thing together. So you're 100% right. The solution may not be ready to be on time. But in addition to that, though, again, what is your take? Because for me, this sounds like a political campaign, playing games with what it appears we are going to do something knowing that we don't have. At the end, nothing was done.
Right, and so that's why I was talking about DeSantis and that whole thing. It's like, did he pull a move like this, right?
Got it.
But when it comes to this, it's literally millions and millions and millions of Americans that are just watching the news saying, the bad Supreme Court that this other guy put in power, this is why we need to go vote again, so that these guys have the opportunity to continue to. This is the same shit that keeps on happening with immigration. It's a problem that needs to continue happening, because if it gets actually fixed, then Democrats have nothing else to run on.
So
it's a promise that is never going to be fulfilled.
Correct. My biggest concern here, guys, is the fact that when especially when you're saying something like that right now, right? Like, I want to remind you of something. Alexi, the country is divided not only politically, but when it comes to issues like this, you have a group of people that are saying, I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
So why are you planning to draw tax money? Because it's got to come from somewhere, however much they say the taxpayer is not going to pay it. Who's going to pay it? What is it, Bill Gates donating a couple of billion? No, it's got to come from somewhere. Because the government doesn't make any money. Have to take it from somebody to allocate it somewhere else, right? So you have that group of people that are saying, I didn't even go to college. And I'm not planning to go to college, right? And then you have another group of people that are really saying, you know, hey, maybe I thought it was free money, you know what I mean? When I was taking it, I was just happy to taking it in because the way the school system is designed. It's like you're talking about
FAFSA.
You know what drug dealers need to learn from? You need to learn from this. The financial aid department of every single school out there. They know how to push money, boy. They know how to push money in a way that the best drug dealer out there would be absolutely impressed about. You guys are really good because they made it sound like, just take it, it's there, it's available to you. I'm telling you this because when my children were going through the process of going into college, right, it was at some point I had to step in and say, how many times does she needs to tell you we don't need to take any money from anybody, right? But now you're saying, okay, I didn't have somebody sitting by my side to say, you don't have to do that, don't take the money. I'm indebted $80, $60, $120,000, whatever the case may be, $30,000, $60, whatever the case may be. Man, I can use a little,
I don't know.
I can use a little bit of help.
So here's the lesson that the drug dealers need to learn, right? It's about who's giving you this information. Because if the guy on the corner is telling me, take the money, I'm not taking it. But if my teacher is telling me, take the money, I'm going to listen to my teacher. I'm expecting them, the school system, to know better.
So by that analogy, the drug dealer has to recruit grandpa first.
There you go. Yes.
And then you get the whole family involved.
You know, so I think that's the problem, is who this information is coming from. And that's what makes it worse. You know, but yeah. And one of the things you said was that they're saying the president is not allowed to forgive the loans.
It doesn't have the
I
powers
can use a different word. What if the loan is not forgiven, but what if we pay it for you?
It's the same thing.
Well, not really. Because forgiven is like somebody's not getting paid. If I pay it for you, that person is getting paid. You just don't have to worry about the bill.
Yeah, but whose money are they going to use?
Correct.
So, the president doesn't have the right to use my money to pay for somebody else's debt.
Yeah, but
that's
what's written.
Nah, I don't know. They're gonna find a way to get us to do it.
What they're doing is kicking the can down the road.
I think they might find a way to get us to pay for it.
But essentially, that's what they announced. Essentially, the announcement of using the Secretary of Education as a back channel, a different way to try to get 100%. But again, listen, politically, what it does, it gives them the argument to say, look, we want to help. Look at these bad Republicans that don't want to let us help. Right? Like we want to make a difference. We want to make your life easy. You know what I mean? If you're somebody out there struggling, and somebody's gonna say, "Listen, we come in, we want to help. But look at those guys. We want to forgive your debt. We want to give you some money so you have extra." Like what are you gonna do?
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Freaking college, like in university, is BS.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, unless you're gonna go be like a physician or like an engineer or something like that. My degree is in freaking hospitality. I spent 4 semesters drinking beer and wine because it was the description of the course. You understand that it's like $30,000 in debt just to drink. Like, that makes zero sense. There are some degrees there that are not necessary. I am pro. Go get a license. Go to a specialized school. Go get all of these things.
But at least,
like the cost of college has to be like.
At least your degree. At least your degree.
Did what?
Had a
job to it?
No. Here's what I want you to keep in mind.
There are people that don't have my degree that are way ahead of me.
At least had the ability. Listen to this one, guys. This is important. At least he had the ability to produce an explanation about what the practical application of that degree was going to be. What about you graduating from liberal arts?
No, yeah, don't even get me started.
Or marine biology.
But even
Well, no,
that,
no,
no. But liberal, no, listen, high demand, high demand. Liberal arts right now. When you ask
Gender studies.
it's like, what is the practical
gender
application?
So
And they go,
degree.
technically, they say it's supposed to be a stepping stone before you get your actual degree. So liberal arts is not a degree in itself where you're supposed to get that and stop. You're supposed to use that so that if you're not sure what you're gonna do, at least now you're not starting from scratch.
So why not cut through the chase?
So you're already coming to us confused. We're gonna give you
Confuse you a little
additional
more.
confusing
But
time,
pretty much,
Okay.
yes,
so
yes,
that
yes.
you can remain confused and
Yeah.
then
But
become
while you
even more
confused,
indebted.
pay us the money, keep coming.
Yeah.
don't
No,
stop
listen.
coming.
Here's my issue with this whole thing, right?
That's a freaking mafia.
The problem is
Yes,
what I want for everybody to keep a little bit of perspective of.
My mom's gonna kill me.
The more the state steps in to pay for these
Yeah.
things, what actually happens is that many of the schools will end up actually just
Charging more.
raising the
Yeah,
tuition,
I agree.
right?
Yeah.
So the real problem that we have with education right now is besides the fact that there's a number of degrees out
That
there
are
that
nonsense.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
even part of the
It's the
educational
cost.
process. You have children today that already came out of college.
Mhm.
They still don't know how to use their credit properly. They don't know how to buy a house with efficiency. They don't know what the best credit rating looks like. They don't understand what MIB is. It's not Men in Black, so go look it up so you can find out.
Yeah.
They don't know exactly what would be the best way to buy a car. They don't know how to file
And
their
they have
taxes properly.
mortgaged the rest of their lives because they're
Already
out 80,
with a
70,
product.
90. Like,
Correct.
nobody in the right mind will give an 18-year-old a $100,000 loan.
So
but
when
this
it-
is happening freaking daily.
So when we're talking about education reform, it's not just that. It's just that it's not just elementary or entry levels, because right now, obviously, that's what the strength of the union has to be. This goes all the way up to colleges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, there's a couple of things. You know what I mean that can actually be done, and that is like introducing the type of schools that will have the ability to have a curriculum that will be more capable to allow people to function in a more practical way
Society.
and to do it in a more cost-effective way. You know what I mean? It's like pricing is going to be, at the end of the day, that's going to be the big differential, right? What's going to be the pricing? But listen, schools keep growing, they keep building it, they keep making money.
Not only
Tuitions
that,
tuitions keep going higher and higher, and nobody. Everybody, this is the problem with politics, though, right? It's like everybody keeps talking about we're gonna fix the problem. We're not fixing the problem.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
If you fix it, you can
If you're
avoid it.
asking me, Democrats really don't want that problem to be fixed because they need a few things to say.
Right.
Listen, you need help. Let me help you with all that debt that.
By the way, we're talking about people that complete their degree. You know how many people have mortgaged their
Got
life,
indebted.
and they go from degree to degree to degree.
And
An
never get
18-year-old doesn't even know what is it that they
Professional
want
students.
in
Yeah.
life.
Correct,
You know,
correct.
I know a few
And-
professional students.
professional
Yeah.
students.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Anyway,
No, anyway, they should
That
pay
is-
for their own professionalness on their own.
bigger issue. I don't want to say bigger issue, but definitely I will say this was a big deal. Big deal. Affirmative action when it comes to education was also struck down. If you're going to have any placement into any school, should be based on your merit and your merit alone, not based on any other adjustment. I was reading this, and as a matter of fact, I think that the one book that I wanted to have here, as a matter of fact, you guys are going to forgive me. I'm actually going to step away from the table because I want to show you something that I read many years ago.
What do you think about it?
About them,
What's
I
happening?
don't. To me, I never benefited from affirmative action in any way that I seen the difference. I think there was a time and a place for it. This country was a different place
Right.
100 years ago. So
Right.
I think it was probably necessary then. I don't think it's necessary now.
Not only that he's one of the people that actively got involved in this. This is not a new argument for him. This is an argument that has been around for many years. This book was published 2000 was copyright 2007.
Okay.
And so my grandfather's son, and he talks precisely about the many times where what he wanted to do. And by the way, he is one of the authors, and not only is one of the authors of this decision, he also had a strong argument with one of the new justices, precisely because they disagree in this position. But
Gotcha.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to show you that this topic about affirmative action, when I come from a place where it's not, the issue is not the color of your skin, you know what I mean? Just, you have to understand that for me, to see the differences, you know, how strong the whole racial divide was here, when this is the, again, land of the free, right? And
Correct.
and I come from a place where I will say, I will introduce you as my best friend. I didn't have to say that you were my best black friend, right? You were just my best friend,
Correct.
right? And so for me, there's a lot of things that coming into the country. I actually struggle to say, how is that? Why? You know, obviously then you read a little more into history, and you know that we definitely as a country went through some dark ages and very difficult moments. We still a baby nation.
So that's what
I
he's
mean,
saying. He's saying
yeah.
there was a place and a time, but
Yeah.
do you really think there's a need for it right now?
No.
No,
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
If anything, we get too much.
By the way, we're not
Yeah.
saying that you don't have discrimination taking place
Yeah.
in general, but you're not saying that you don't have people. What you're saying is when it comes to education and when it comes to you running a best business or running a very should be the most qualified person.
I agree.
Meritocracy,
Not so
100%. By the way, there's not affirmative action in hockey. There's
The
not
fact that
affirmative
we had a
action
new
in
justice-
NBA. There's not affirmative action in,
Yeah.
you know, it's like it's the most qualified people. You can jump that high. You can ski that sky or whatever.
But to, I guess, I don't know, just take it on a different level. I don't think there should be affirmative action, but I also don't think someone should be discriminated against.
Oh,
I thought
100%.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But
That's
so
the
then
point.
I think there was a point in time because there was so much discrimination, you needed maybe something like this. But that was, like I said, that was a different era. I don't think we need that now.
I don't think even in
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
Like, because this is education.
Yeah, no, but you gotta
specific.
remember. So there was a point in time where I couldn't go to a certain school because I was black.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Right, right.
But that's not now.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So there's nowhere I can't go. I wouldn't be surprised if the president of half these schools, you get what I'm saying, is somebody who's black, you know. But that wasn't the case always.
Right.
So there was a point in time where you needed, I guess, the benefit of something like affirmative action just to even have a chance. Like I said.
So it
that was-
served its purpose.
Correct, but that
no
was
more.
probably 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Our president was black. You know, there's black billionaires. There's nothing stopping somebody from doing what they want to do, you know, without getting any extra credit, you know, so to speak. So I think it's a waste. And if anything, the fact that we're getting it now still, it's almost like a slap in the face telling me that I'm not good enough to do
Yeah,
it on my
you
own.
need a little
like
help.
I don't need no help. I got
that
this.
was his argument
Yeah.
all throughout the process.
Yep.
Like he wanted absolutely nothing to be given to him based on the color of his skin.
Yep.
Like that was his whole argument. What
I
she
agree.
just said right now is saying, I have the capability to earn my position. I'm willing to do the work. I have the work ethic. I have, because here's another flip side though that people like to ignore, right? You have a group that does very well when it comes to certain areas of education, math, science, very complicated topics that usually Hispanic, Latinos, African Americans don't do very well. Caucasians will do well in that area, but not better in this group. You know who they are, right? Who are those guys?
Asians.
Asians,
I
right?
didn't know
You're
that.
at,
No, I'm
right?
What?
Right? So when you're saying minorities need affirmative action,
Yeah.
the reality that everybody wanted to put under the table was, well, you know, not everybody, not all minorities. As a matter of fact, some of them actually do excel tremendously. So there's a number of components. Listen, guys, there's genetics. There is your social reality, right?
Culture.
There is family. There is culture. There is parenting. There is so many factors that go along.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That will produce as to whether or not somebody's going to become a better student, and your IQ plays a role.
Correct.
Right? I mean, it's like you can't compare a Jordan Peterson, whose ability to communicate, is like, you can't compare that guy to me. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about two different. You enjoy that. You really enjoy that comparison. I can see that. So, but anyway, I think that these things are. It's interesting how much is actually shifting when it comes to certain positions and how some people want to hold on to it. Just so that you know, our former president and his wife, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, were texting aggressively against, what was taking place, obviously against the ruling. They were doing that while they were actually cruising on a very expensive yacht somewhere, I don't know where, but crying injustice.
Tears into the ocean.
Yeah. Just let me have a little more caviar so that I can process this moment. And that is the hypocrisy of the whole situation.
I'll take it a
allow
step
that.
further.
Yeah.
I think there shouldn't even be Black History Month.
I agree with you. I don't know why we have a. What do we have? There is a whole month.
Pride just finished.
Yeah,
Pride just finished.
I don't think there should be
one of the 7 deadly sins, by the way, pride. But so.
One of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yes. Just in case, look it up, everybody. Just you're gonna go like, holy crap.
Oh man, that makes up. Whoa.
Pride.
Have you been to a pride parade?
No.
He definitely has.
That makes total sense. But when you just said.
Why?
I've been to it. They're a lot of fun. It's not a place for children, but pride parades are a lot of fun.
A lot of fun?
Yeah.
The wrong kind of
right
fun.
now I don't go to them because
fun like
to all of the deadly
to the
sins.
deadly sins.
All of them. All of them.
There you go.
You named them.
So, but in addition to that, right? We have a Black History Month. We have a Pride Month. What else do we have?
Hispanic Heritage Month.
What else do we have?
I don't know.
Do we have a Caucasian?
No.
We don't have an American one.
Do we have a Jewish?
No. No.
Why not though? I mean,
because they smart.
Do we have a?
Because they smart.
They don't play that. They're like, no, we're not doing that.
So.
This is.
I struggle about something where you should be celebrating who you are, your race, where you come from, your heritage, and they want to reduce it to a month where you can feel,
month, by the way.
You can feel grateful, happy, prideful about
correct.
your that opposed to your whole life,
correct,
our whole 365 days.
Yep.
That's something that I don't understand why people. But hey, part of it is very good marketing.
Correct.
Produces very good business for a lot of private entities, and man, politically, what an amazing team to play with. You know, I mean, that's a phenomenal toy. It's like immigration, never gets fixed.
Yep.
Precisely for those reasons.
Yep.
But
So,
guys,
I don't like it.
what's your prediction on that? It's going to incorporate well. It's going to people
with the affirmative
action. Do you foresee schools again trying to?
I think it's going to be fine. Because like I said, I think we're past that. But
no, schools trying to cater to. Hey, we don't care what the Supreme Court says. We're just gonna.
I was literally gonna go that route. I'm like, it's already part of the culture. There's nothing is gonna change because it's already part of their DNA.
Then it's just gonna slow us down for where we need to go as a population.
Country.
Or as a country. Honestly, all schools need to be shut. Colleges, they just they don't.
You know who needs a university? Patrick.
Fourth
we need
of July.
a entertainment university.
Fourth of July is upon us. And I'm gonna tell you some of the things that if we're not careful, can potentially. It's hard for people to even accept this reality, right? Things that can actually happen. I remember watching movies, soap operas also. You know what I mean? Because in my house there was a bunch of ladies, right?
Yeah.
And for many years, the dominant group when it came to soap operas, right, from the Latino side was Mexican soap operas. You know what I mean? It's like those very famous people that made all over the place. And then, out of the blue, you started to see a bunch of things coming out of Venezuela, right? And you know, they will highlight, you know what I mean, from beautiful houses to lifestyle to people that, you know, like, this place is in Latin America. There's like, they have that much money here.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had a conversation with somebody saying, Marvin, you don't understand. It's like, I used to jump on a private jet to go have lunch with my son from the mainland and going to Aruba, just to have lunch. We went and we spent 2-3 hours and went right back into. He said, that's the kind of economy that we're talking about. I said, you don't understand. He said, I'm not looking for anybody to feel sorry for me. It's like that I don't have a private jet anymore. But I just want you to understand what was lost in terms of opportunity and potential future. Here was absolutely happening right now with 2 countries. But by the way, as I'm telling you this, please, I want you to know that I'm trying to do it so that we can have perspective about how to value or why to value our Declaration of Independence, 4th of July, and to find a way to preserve and respect and protect the Constitution from real bad politicians. And we're already playing a lot of games in this country that if we're not careful, we can potentially look like this. When they don't like the enemy anymore, when they don't like the competition,
they inhabilitate them.
The sounds a little familiar right now. Is there a guy out there that's being already almost to the point where they're trying to get him arrested, they're trying to remove him from having the ability to, they're trying to keep him from running, they're trying to, like, so, listen, my fellow Americans, this is not something that is far-fetched. This is something that, if we're not careful, is actually happening in front of our eyes, and we're just not even paying attention.
Wait, so what is happening in those 2
So,
countries?
Brazil, the former president and his rerun for the second election ended up losing to a former president, a guy that was arrested, high level of corruption, nicknamed Lula. So former president Bolsonaro loses to this guy, right? And immediately everybody that have either been playing from that side or supporting the man immediately go into the situation of saying, watch what happens. It's just a matter of time, this guy, before he gets arrested, and they name a number of potential things that can happen to him. Well, one of the things that just happened is that he has been officially abused for running for office for the next 8 years, and he's being accused of abuse of power when the actual current president was arrested for corruption and abuse of power. The guy who's, but this guy was a real threat to anybody. Unfortunately, he lost, or the election was taken away from him, whatever you want to make the argument. In addition to that, this beautiful country that we were talking about, which is Venezuela, in a window of 30 years went from being the 4th largest economy on the planet to right now behaving and acting as an undeveloped country. I mean, the level of extreme poverty. We're talking about people that will go and literally pick up garbage to try to provide for the family. I mean, literally, you can see people going to garbage trucks and chasing them just to see if there was anything that went in there that they can still rescue. Painful to watch. Painful to watch. And the only so-called decent resistance that was taking place, which is somebody that was going to be running, an opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, one of the few opposition leaders left in Venezuela, won't be able to hold public office for 15 years, Alexi.
They banned her too.
So she's being banned, right? The troubled countries, they announced that. Where is the United Nations? Where is all these human rights groups that will go out of the way to protect criminals? You know, they're accusing Bukele, Nayib Bukele, and by the way, the president of Honduras right now is trying to grab a little bit of the playbook, and they say that they're going to go that route, and already human rights organizations are crying that's going to be an abuse. what is this if not an abuse of power? And by the way, connect that to what's actually happening to Donald Trump at this very moment.
Yeah.
Right? Do we not see the writing on the wall? Do we not see how dangerous this becomes when they actually have the ability to stop you from being the opposition? They don't want you to think different than they are.
This is, by the way, this is a direct result of backing the court and being able to modify the Constitution.
In
Right?
both cases, by the way.
In both cases. So you being able to modify the Constitution puts you in a place where this actually happens. So when I'm frantically telling people go vote, it's because this is what's on the line, which means there's a reason why Chavez and Maduro have been in power for what, 23 years?
Correct.
You know, one dude passed away, the other was shoved in there, and now, you know, there's no way of. By the way, there's a couple of things that I respect about the lady. The level of corruption in Venezuela is as such that, you know, when the whole Capriles thing happened and the Guaidó thing that happened, they both ended up being bought by the government, just so you know. So I have a lot of reservations about this lady because I still don't know where she lands. I like her language. I like what she's saying. She has her money outside of politics. Her family is very wealthy from before. And she became famous while Chavez was still alive, because she called them out in a very specific. She was a diputado, which is she was part of the Senate. She called them out about what was happening to the country back then, which is nowhere near as bad
as it is now.
It is right now. It's
absolutely.
even worse. So what I respect about the lady is that she's saying, regardless of, look, they banned me from it, but whatever is happening legally in this country is garbage anyway, so I'm still going to continue to run. So I don't know how she's planning on doing this, but she's out there. She has no reason and no need to be in Venezuela. She could be anywhere in the world, and the fact that she's so passionate about it, it still goes into there. My fear is that us as a country, I'm talking about the U.S. now, not realizing what we have on the line is we're creating because exactly like we are 2 to 3 elections away from this happening. I don't like your position, so I'm gonna ban you from running. And the problem is that it prevents what makes this country so great, which is like debate and you being able to be on both sides. That's why we're having this crossing of conversations. So it's really scary, the fact that they're politically prosecuting a president, an ex-president, right, a former president, and in addition to that, a presidential candidate is just, we're a couple of.
So that is my question, Alexia, because right now, listen,
from office,
but when you're looking into that scenario, right? We're not talking about small countries here in Latin America, right? We're talking about very large countries, very large economies. Huge. Even with the level of poverty that Venezuela is going through right now, still big economies. But then I want you to take that and bring it into what's going on with Donald Trump, what's going on with, by the way, not just from the Republican side, now you have a very interesting situation with Robert Kennedy Jr., right? They actually want to silence the opposition. So the guy, we're going to label this guy trouble, we're going to label this guy an anti-this, anti-that. We're going to try to make sure no debates to take place, don't give it any airtime. He's having a hard time just getting in front of people, right? To be able to put his message out there because they want to silence the opposition. But that's what it looks like. But even with Donald Trump more specifically, you know, everything that they were saying that can potentially happen to Bolsonaro is exactly what's happening to Donald Trump. Listen, they're going to be suing you for everything. They're going to try to lock you up. They're going to make sure that you don't do it. They're going to make sure that they do that. They're going to accuse you of this. They're going to accuse you of that. And so, do we not see that this is really going in the real... There's a huge
difference between silencing the opposition and banning the opposition.
Destroying the opposition.
Banning. Like you are not able to be here. You cannot.
But it starts like that, though.
That's what I mean. It's a couple of steps away.
By making an effort
right.
of doing that, and eventually they just get to a point where they will know whether it's done that way or finding a different. What they're looking for right now is they're looking for a way to stop Donald Trump from running. Right
now, here's what I feel. I feel like at the end of the day, and we was talking about this, I think last week or the week before. It's about how much stamina the person has, because truth be told, you can't stop somebody like Trump unless he decides to quit. If he doesn't quit, they can't stop him.
Because we're in America. Because here they're banned.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, even that can be over. You can change that. No one has the ultimate say-so to say this is how it is. There's no way to change it. Because at the end of the day, we can change the law. We can change whatever somebody wrote down. Yeah, I can erase that. We got erasers. You get what I'm saying? So unless you decide to give up and forfeit your position, then I don't think somebody can ultimately stop you.
So let's go that route.
Yeah.
What would it take to change the law?
Well,
You understand that
but
it's like
somebody
we're
like
back
Trump,
to like
somebody he has
civil war.
I know, right? but what I'm saying is, but that's why he's running for president.
Yeah.
That's why he's a billionaire. You get what I'm saying? Because the more money I have, the more political power I have, the more connections I have, the more I can put things the way I want it to be. Which I think there's nothing wrong with that. We just got to be clear that that's the game that's being played. Because if you don't understand that this is a game and you got to be fighting to win the game, then that's where you say, all right, this ain't got nothing to do with me. Let me just let the people who's doing what they do what they do.
Listen,
you get what I'm saying?
Listen, for me, I'm going to tell you what I'm always hoping for in moments like this, right? And in light of seeing that, right? Because this is the end result. This is not something that just happened out of the blue.
Correct.
Just saying. This is the end result
Modifying
of
the
a lot of the things that are happening right now, right?
Back in the court.
That can lead to
Taking
that,
guns away.
right? And so for me, my concern is the people that are just refusing to pay attention to what's happening. Because listen, whether you like Trump or you hate Trump, and now you can actually move up to another candidate that is from the opposite party. If you're not a Republican, you can say, wait a minute, what they doing to Kennedy right now? That's one of the attractions that I have, is like the whole idea that you want to side with the underdog. And this is a guy that made a choice also to say, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to go anywhere anyone is willing to listen. I'm willing to debate anybody, regardless. And if you don't agree with my positions on vaccines, then come debate me. I'm willing to have that. And that's
what, that guy doing push-ups?
Yeah, I know.
Like, holy
I know.
crap.
To be honest with you, I thought it was AI.
I was
for
tired
a moment.
looking
I was
at
like,
the
no. I'm looking at that guy, and I'm like, how old are you? I'm like, I never felt so out of shape in my life. You know what I mean? But all I'm telling you, guys, is but anyway, I'm begging people. I'm begging people, regardless of whether you support. You need the opposition. You need to know what the other person is thinking. Somebody's got to be testing your stupid idea. Somebody's got to challenge some of your stupid. You need the other side to say, oh, okay, you know what? That made a lot of sense. I need to make some adjustments here. So
and I agree. But the one thing I just want to highlight is that people need to know that that is still ongoing. It's not set in stone because of somebody else.
Correct.
Like somebody else doesn't determine, okay, this is how the world is going to work for forever. No, we've seen many of things that was one way,
evolution.
way. Yeah, and now it's a different way.
Well, there was a need for affirmative action, and there's not.
Correct.
There was a need to like fight for gay marriage. Now they're like stay away from the kids. So
correct.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
They understand something that a lot of us need to learn.
Some of the gay people that get married really went back to. Can we go back to the days?
I was gonna say, I'm like, if I would have known it was gonna get this bad, I'm like, just
learn from this.
let Nori make decisions for me when I get in an accident.
The drug dealers need to learn from the schools, right?
Oh my goodness!
Right.
I'm
so
telling you.
What I'm saying is that there's a fight that's going on.
Yeah.
We need to know that it's going on and like be engaged in it. You
Correct.
can't just assume, oh no, that's something going on with these other people.
Are you gonna go vote?
Oh, my
Oh man!
Come
Anyway,
on, that's the fight.
Guys, let me. I got a final question for the two of you. Final question: what does the 4th of July means to you?
I love this country.
Go ahead.
It's America's birthday. What a freaking blessing that we have the opportunity to sit down here and do what we're doing right now. Freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms. Everything about the way that this country was set up is not perfect. If you're looking for perfection, you're not going to find that anywhere. But the most efficient system to run a country, it lives here. There's a reason why millions of people risk their life to cross the border. There's a million reasons why we are hanging out here and we're saying we're fighting to make sure that we're able to keep the Constitution in place, that we are talking about what some of the great values and principles, because I think that we are as a country so spoiled and we don't realize the greatness. The fish is the only guy that doesn't know that it's surrounded by water.
Correct.
And it's just unbelievable. I love this country. Happy birthday, America. I'm grateful to the founding fathers, as flawed as they were. But what they put together when a group of not perfect people, very flawed individual, come together and put such a perfect document together that has the opportunity for us to be able to fix our wrongs and get better every time. Just future looks bright, and I'm grateful. So that's what the 4th of July means for me.
For me, it's just a reminder of kind of like what I was saying just now, because Independence Day wasn't given to us.
Yeah,
we had to take it
out. Yeah,
we had to take it. You know, so then for me, this is a reminder that for you to get your freedom, or to have your freedom, even today, living in a free country, you got to fight for that, and you can't like give that up, because the second you decide to give it up, like we were talking about, tomorrow or the day after July 4th.
Correct.
Is Independence Day
in
for
Venezuela.
Yeah. So I think they probably made the mistake of thought just because it was today, we have it for forever. No, you got to keep on fighting for it. So the fact that July 4th is coming around is just another reminder. Fight for your independence in any way you can, whether that be, you know, financially, politically, you know. So it's just a reminder. It's just a reminder.
You know, I come from a place of gratitude. You know what I mean? You're saying that, and it is unfortunate that civics is not something that's part of the school system anymore. You know what I mean? We're not really talking about many things that can help you become proud of the country. When I came in, I was very young, but I also came in from a place with every Saturday in school was all about the flag, was about the national anthem, was all about, like, you have to recite it, you have to sing it, you have to, so civics and love for the nation, respect for the nation, the history of the nation, good, bad, and the ugly. There was also a lot of abuses. There's not a single nation that has perfect history, you know what I mean? And so to have come here, to be able to accomplish many things, and to be able to have, especially given the opportunity to help family and certain people that I wanted to be part of the process and be part of the, you know, I approach it from a place of gratitude, you know, first and foremost. And second of all, you know, what I'm hoping for is that somebody will say the right things, will do the right things, that will inspire somebody to actually look into it a little more, you know what I mean, and just say, what do I need to understand about this country? Because many people, including myself, will go to the point of truly believing that this nation was founded with a very special blessing from God, you know what I mean? This was a noble ideal, you know what I mean? And people can be, you know, they can just look at the whole situation, and you know how sometimes people don't want to believe in anything, no novel ideas, no, they're just skeptical about everything, you know what I mean? And they go like, listen, what we're trying to do is we're trying to run away from taxes and abuse of power. Well, let's call it that, right? It's the whole taxation with no representation and the abuse of power that was taking place at that point. But that triggered, you read the Declaration of Independence, right? Which my invitation this weekend to every single one of you, my invitation this week is for you to actually read the Declaration of Independence. What a beautiful document. When you think about, especially the people that were not that old by our president today will be somebody's grandfather as part of the group of people that wrote the Declaration of Independence. And when you read the document, though, you go like, I cannot believe it. You have to be deeply connected to that idea, the love, the emotion that's got to be part of it as part of the process. It's got to be such that produces that kind of language. You know what I mean? It's almost poetic. And so the 13 colonies that were formed and conformed by New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, right, came together. This was the Continental Congress, and produced and officially announced the Declaration of Independence that ended up producing this beautiful nation. And it starts with a very simple sequence of statements. Obviously, I'm not going to read too much of it, but it says, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which has been connecting them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's gods entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. And it starts with this beautiful phrase that follows: we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among of this are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm inviting you to go and pursue your happiness. I'm inviting you to allow the blessing of this nation that happens to be the soil under our feet. I'm inviting you to wake up and realize that, you know, who knows if
It's the greatest country in the world.
If we're going to be able to, in light of some of the
We gotta
things that we
fight for it.
cited today, we need to protect it. We truly need to be willing to defend the Constitution.
Yep.
And I come to you again from a place of gratitude. And we definitely look forward for you to have a phenomenal weekend and to enjoy the 4th of July with your family. Take the time to understand your own country just a little more, our beautiful country a little more, and be safe out there.
Yeah. Freedom is not free. You know what I love?
Yeah.
Like, there's a black guy, an
Yeah.
old immigrant guy. By the way, business owner, successful, a multiple figure earner, right?
Yeah.
You've earned 7 figures in multiple industries. My son, lesbian immigrant from like how that like it sounds like one of those like.
It was a setup.
Like
Yeah, but it's not. This is not affirmative action. This is what America freaking looks like. You know what I mean? It's like, how
Put this
freaking
together.
awesome is that?
Put
Huh?
this together.
It's like a bad.
I said 2 lesbians, a black guy, and an immigrant show up, and
It's like a bad joke is about to get started.
Yeah.
It is.
yeah.
So,
No,
but
I love it. I love it. Only in America.
only in America.
Yeah, you used to clean rooms, and now you have the opportunity to own a business.
There you go.
You worked at a freaking warehouse.
I was drowning.
Driving without a driver's license. What
I
the
was
heck?
drowning to come into this beautiful country.
Mhm.
So
You too.
Yeah.
You were a driver
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Freaking
So,
insane.
Yeah.
so with that being said, everybody, and not only to go out there and enjoy the beauty of the moment, just
Yes,
don't
yes,
get
yes.
caught up with the hot dogs and the
Correct.
unhealthy stuff that's going to be out
Yeah.
there. But please, you know what I mean. If you have anything that you want to add to this conversation, any questions, anything that you would like us to address specifically. Feel free to comment, you know what I mean, ask any questions, anything that you agree or disagree, right?
Right.
Again, we
Comment,
just
subscribe,
made it,
share.
right, very clear
Yes.
that we absolutely welcome, you know what I mean, the opposite perspectives. We
Correct.
do respect your position,
Absolutely.
as we hope that you will respect ours. And with that being said, do like move it around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let some of
Share,
you,
yep.
hopefully, you know, we can get a few people that, I don't want to say they just look like us. I mean, in general, we can get a few people that will become part of the conversation. I'm going to take very seriously this whole affirmative action ruling. So everybody is invited
Yes,
to
yes,
be
there you
part
go.
of the
There you go.
conversation, not just a group of people. So we'll see you. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. All right. Thank you.